Nature, come home to You Know More with Dr. Valerie Simonsen on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, broadcasting from Akaku Maui Community Media Center in downtown Kahului. Aloha! Welcome to The Nature of Your Nature. Come home to You Know More. And we are being sponsored by the nonprofit You Know More, which is dedicated to first responders, healthcare providers, educators, and community leaders. I'm Dr. Valerie Simonsen, and we have our favorite lady with us today, Harriet Witt.
Hello.
Thanks for being with us again. You were at a number of calls that people wanted to hear more, so I am leaving it up to you.
Well, I'm finding that the answers I get in life are only as good as the questions I ask. And you posed a really good question a year or so ago. It's not officially a question because it doesn't have a question mark at the end of it, but it's effectively a question. You came up with the expression, the nature of your nature. And every time I say that, I realize it's asking me, what is the nature of my nature? So it's making me investigate, explore. And as I've been exploring over the last year or so, I realized that the nature of our nature is cyclical. But we live in a culture that is not recognizing that has gone numb to the natural cycles.
Right.
And that numbness is unfortunate because the natural cycles offer us incredible opportunities that we're missing out on if we're unaware of the natural cycles. And it's a little hard to explain what those opportunities are and why they're important unless we look at something called the master body clock. Have you and I talked about
No, we haven't talked about
clock?
the master body clock.
I'm curious what you know. Is the master body clock being taught in school? Are kids learning about it?
I don't even know what it is.
Okay. To appreciate the value of the master body clock, it's good to recognize that we have hundreds of trillions of cells in our body. We're made of hundreds of trillions of cells, okay? And when you realize that, okay, there's hundreds of trillions of cells in there, that brings up a really interesting question is, how do they all get along with each other? Well, if they were all human beings, they would probably be arguing with one another.
Right.
But that isn't the case, you know. All these hundreds of trillions of cells are working together. They're maintaining their identity as individual cells. Right. You know, a heart cell doesn't just become a bone cell overnight or anything like that. But so they are maintaining their individual identity and integrity as cells, but they're also contributing, working on behalf of the overall organism called you or me. Yeah. And so the question is, how are they doing this? You know, what's allowing them to all work together? And it turns out it's the master body clock. And the master body clock is sometimes called the SCN, suprachiasmatic nucleus, because that's where it's located. The suprachiasmatic nucleus refers to, it's a big Latin name, but it refers to the master body clock is located at just above the spot where the two optic nerves join. As your two optic nerves join behind your eyes, this place where they join, just above that, that's where the master body clock is located.
Really?
That's where the suprachiasmatic nucleus is located, yeah, just above the spot where the two optic nerves join. Commonly it's called the master body clock because suprachiasmatic nucleus is a mouthful.
Yeah.
But since you know these medical terms,
this
anyway,
is all new to me.
So the master body clock synchronizes all of these hundreds of trillions of cells, and the way that it synchronizes them is by the cycle of the sun, where you live, where your body lives.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you live in the Arctic Circle, it's a very different experience than if you live in the tropics.
Right.
Yeah. Or even if you just live a few time zones to the east or west, you know, it's a completely different. Yeah.
Right.
So the master body clock resets everything at dawn and at dusk. Okay. And if you are outdoors, with sunlight entering your eyes, then the reset happens quite naturally. In other words, everything syncs back up again. All of your hundreds of trillions of cells sync back up again with the cycle of the sun.
Right.
Okay. But so many people are not outdoors, and their bodies are not syncing up.
Right.
Yeah. So one really interesting indication of the power of this cycle of the sun is jet lag. If you get on a plane and you go to the east or to the west, and you're in a place where the sun is either higher in the sky or lower in the sky, you get jet lag. And everybody knows how uncomfortable jet lag is. So that's kind of evidence of how powerful our relationship with the sun is. We wouldn't get jet lag if we didn't have that powerful relationship to the sun.
Wow.
Jet lag wouldn't exist.
Huh.
Yeah. So if you keep that in mind, then you can kind of get a feeling for how powerful our relationship with local sunlight is to our bodies. Our minds don't know this, though, because our minds have been culturally conditioned by a number of things that we'll be exploring as we go along here. Am I making any sense here?
Yeah, I want more.
Okay, so the jet lag, everybody's familiar with jet lag. Okay. Then there's this thing called social jet lag, which was the cover story on American Scientist magazine a couple of years ago. Social jet lag is caused by being out of sync with the sun. Even if you haven't hopped on a plane, you can be out of sync with the sun just because you're spending so much time indoors.
Right.
Or just because you're scheduling your life by clocks and calendars rather than by the sun.
Right.
So social jet lag has reached a point where of epidemic proportions, because and it's partially just because people aren't outdoors, but it's also partially because of something I think you and I talked about a few months ago. A lot of people are exposed to bright electric lighting at night. Okay.
Right.
And that works against our health because the body heals when we're sleeping. Yeah. And that healing, when REM sleep happens, okay, but REM sleep doesn't even start until 2 hours after darkness. Okay, so researchers in Boston found that people who had bright lights over their bathroom mirrors, the REM sleep wasn't kicking in in enough time for them to get their healing. Also, in big cities where there's bright lighting coming in through the windows all night long, higher rates of cancer in those places.
Yes. Because
people aren't experiencing darkness. And without the darkness, the body doesn't go into REM sleep. And without the REM sleep, the body doesn't heal. So that's social jet lag. And partly the social jet lag is caused by too much electric lighting, but partially it's caused by scheduling our lives by clocks and calendars instead of scheduling our lives the way we always did. For the initial 99% of our human existence, the sky was our clock.
Right.
The sky was our calendar. The sky was our compass. We weren't looking at, these things on our wrists or looking at our phone. We were just doing it by the sun,
Right.
And that worked really well. So this brings up a really interesting thing that's on my mind very much right now, because now is the winter solstice.
Coming in on the 21st?
Yeah, but it's really days around that time. It's not just, there's a specific moment, but in terms of if you actually watch the sun on the horizon, it's a period of at least 5 days where the point of sunrise doesn't change and the point of sunset doesn't change.
Really?
And that's what solstice means. Solstice means sun standing still. The sun itself doesn't stand still, but the point where it first appears on the eastern horizon and the point where it last appears on the western horizon, that point doesn't change.
Wow.
And people all noticed that because they were outdoors and they were growing their own food and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So the solstice lasts about 5 days. And we can feel now, the days are really short now.
And quick.
Yeah,
All of a sudden it's dark.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I've been thinking about these cycles a lot in the last few weeks just because of the obvious increase in darkness.
Right.
And so going back to what we were saying a moment ago about our synchrony with the sun, we've lost the synchrony with the sun, partially because of too much ambient lighting, but partially because we're living our lives by calendars that are on a piece of paper or a calendar that's on a screen, rather than by the calendar of the sky. And what's really disturbing about the kind of calendar that's on a screen or a piece of paper is, well, just think about it. Okay, right, it's on December 21st. Okay. It's darkness 24/7 at the North Pole, and it's daylight 24/7 at the South Pole. Okay, so at the North Pole, everything is either dead or dormant, and at the South Pole, everything is just making babies. Yeah? I mean, they couldn't be more opposite, but it's the same date at both places.
Yeah.
So what's the date telling us? It's not, the date's not, yeah? So our reliance on dates, and as I say that, I want to honor a Native Hawaiian person who pointed out something incredibly valuable to me that I would not have noticed myself, because I was born and raised in the suburbs of New York City, you know, and I've lived here since 1988, but I still have that East Coast conditioning. Yeah. So I was taking an online course with a group of Hawaiian people who have created an online method of staying in sync with the cycles of the sun and the moon. Okay, and it's beautiful because they've used, you know, the latest technology to, you know, animations and graphics and stuff to help people get back in sync with the cycles of nature. So as I was taking that course, the fellow who created the course asked me a question. He said, we were talking about sky as clock and sky as calendar. Okay, because that sky was everybody's clock and calendar, whether you were Hawaiian or whatever.
Right.
For everybody in the whole world, until very, very recently, the sky was everybody's clock and everybody's calendar, and we all knew how to read it. Yeah, okay. And so we were talking about that, and then the Hawaiian fellow who, blanking on his name now, I'm sorry. It's not very...
That's okay. It'll come if not.
Anyway, we were talking about sky as clock and sky as calendar, and then he said to me, "Do you see any dates or times written on the sky?"
Yeah.
And I realized, oh, no, I don't see any dates or times written on the sky.
Right.
Dates or times are not a property of nature. They're artifacts of human activity.
Yeah.
You know? And so that, and that just blew me away. I was like, oh man, how come I never noticed that? There's, you know, you can look everywhere in nature and you don't see any dates or times written anywhere.
Yeah. What
you see is light and shadow and patterns of light and shadow. Changing patterns of light and shadow, changing angles of light and shadow.
Yeah.
Those are your dates and your time. You know, those are the dates and times that will keep you in sync with the nature of your nature.
Yes.
Whereas the dates and times that appear on a paper calendar or a screen calendar will get you out of sync with the nature of your nature. And I was so blown away by this that I started looking into it. And I found out that the system of time zones that are the basis of our paper and screen calendars, that system of time zones was created by railroad corporations.
Yes.
To serve their bottom line.
Right.
And railroad corporations aren't particularly concerned about your health or my health.
Right.
And I'm not knocking the railroad corporations. They were just doing what they had to do to make a profit on their trains. It costs a lot of money to build a railroad and trains and everything. And the trains have to run on schedules that people can depend on, because people aren't going to go to the train station and sit there for weeks waiting for a train to arrive. Nobody's going to buy a ticket under those circumstances.
Right.
So I can see why the, railroad companies created the time zone system. But we've adopted that. We're running our lives by railroad time now.
We are.
And, whoo.
As you're saying that, Harriet, I'm just thinking about, we call it the paia crawl. from Kahului on Maui to like Haiku, you know what time of the day it is by the amount of traffic on the road.
Right.
Right?
Right. Right.
Wow, is that just goofy as goof? But I hadn't realized, I mean, it's always been a pain in the bazooka.
Right.
But now I'm really understanding how illusional I've been by thinking that was a clock. Okay, it's 4:30. Traffic's going. Right? Instead of connecting with the sun, the shadows, the different shapes.
Right, because 4:30 on a day in January is very different from 4:30 on a day in July.
Right. Yeah.
But you still have, and I'm so glad you mentioned about the traffic, because this kind of fascinates me too. The history of this is fascinating. The first trains were called iron horses. You probably
That's right.
remember that.
Yeah, right. I do.
They were called iron horses because until trains were invented, nobody ever traveled any faster than you could go on the back of a horse.
Right.
And of course, when you're traveling on the back of a horse, everybody knows you can't announce in advance exactly when you're going to arrive at a certain place, because who knows if the road is going to be muddy or icy, or your horse is going to have a problem with its foot, or you never know. There's all sorts of factors. So as long as the fastest anybody could go was on the back of a horse, operating by sun time was fine. That system worked perfectly well.
Right.
It's only when you had these iron horses that could go really fast, then
predictable.
Yeah.
Or
And they were so expensive, as I said, and no one's going to build a railroad, and no one's going to buy tickets.
Right.
If the train doesn't. Yeah. And the other thing that happened is once railroads came into existence, it was possible for commerce to thrive. People could get produce to market before it rotted.
Yeah.
There were a lot of really beneficial things that happened as a result of railroads. An awful lot of commerce became possible that wasn't possible before. If you had to carry your produce on the back of an ox,
right,
half of it was rotted by the time you got to the market.
Right.
So there were, many benefits of that. And the other thing that's kind of fascinating about the history of the iron horse is when the time zone system was introduced in the United States, because the United States is so much bigger than Europe. I mean, trains first became available in Europe.
Okay.
The first trains were in Europe. But then when trains started happening in the United States being so much bigger than Europe, they created an interesting thing where they had tracks coming from the East Coast and tracks coming from the West Coast, and where the tracks met, someplace in Utah, you've heard this story, a fellow named Stanford drove a golden spike and to that point where the two tracks met, because that meant that you could travel all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast and vice versa. Yeah. And that meant major commercial opportunities. Yeah. And so Leland Stanford drove the golden spike. It was a big ceremony. If you go online and Google photographs of it, you'll see all these men in top hats, anticipating all the profits they were about to make from. And the golden spike is now in the museum at Stanford University.
Oh, it is?
Well, that's where Stanford University got all its money from.
Right, the railroads.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just flew the other day from Kona, and of course I had a pretty busy day, and I get there and the flight is delayed, and I'm like, ooh, that's gonna mess up my schedule today.
Right.
And this local gal, I never did see her face, but every time she spoke, people would jump up and start moving towards her, and she says, now everybody sit down, take a breath, everything's going to be okay.
Oh.
We're all going the same place, and we're going to get there in the right time.
Beautiful.
And every time, I think 5 times at least 5 times announced over this period of an hour or so, because you'd hear the coming on, and people are jumping up to get in line, right? Because we're going to do it. We're going to get on the plane. And then just chill out. She didn't say that.
Good
but
for her. Good for her.
Yeah, I said...
somebody like that can make a huge difference in your life.
Well, it sure made a huge difference in my life. And she's a Kanaka Hawaiian. When I got up to the gate, I saw who was kind of running the show up there. And that's how she was raised, undoubtedly, right?
Beautiful, beautiful.
You know, connected to that everything is, it's okay. It's all right. And going back to time, I just worked in New Zealand. We did it virtual because of the flight thingy, bajiggies. But it was so funny because we were like 20 minutes late, right? And they'd come on, and I said, well, in America we call it Indian time, and in Hawaii we call it Hawaiian time, and they said, yeah, there's nothing like the Maori time, which means whenever, right? But there's always the right time.
Well, I'm so glad you used that term, right time, because it's reminding me, the whole reason I launched into this thing is because now is the winter solstice,
right,
in the northern hemisphere anyway. That is related to what I said earlier about the fact that when we recognize that the nature of our nature is cyclical, cyclical time gives us powerful opportunities that are not offered to us by the kind of time that's scheduling our lives. And it's kind of hard to appreciate the powerful opportunities unless we talk about what we just did. Yeah. But for example, at the winter solstice and also at the equinoxes, but those 4 points are what in mathematics they call null points. Have you and I talked about null points?
No, we haven't, but I do know what you're talking about, but let's share it with everybody.
Yeah, because it's a null point. The null point is a powerful, powerful moment that most people are unaware of because of our cultural conditioning. So we'll use the example of this null point right now, the winter solstice. For 6 months, the last 6 months, our nights have been getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And then after the winter solstice, our nights get longer. Our
days.
I got it backwards. For 6 months, our days have been getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And after the winter solstice, our days get longer again. Okay, so the point of the solstice is the end of one cycle, the cycle I just described, but it's not yet the start of the next cycle. So it's like a time out of time. It's a brief moment there. It's about 5 days. Or you could pin it down to 1 second if you want to, but effectively it's about 5 days.
Wow.
Where you're at the end of one cycle, but the next cycle hasn't yet begun. And so that's why it's like a time out of time. Because it's like a time out of time, it's possible to introduce changes that you can't introduce when a cycle is in full swing.
Yeah.
If you try to introduce change when a cycle is in full swing, it's like trying to swim upstream or cut something against the grain or, yeah?
Yeah.
And this is the origin of the New Year's resolution. But unfortunately, the New Year's resolution kind of got bollocksed because the New Year is no longer at the winter solstice.
Right.
There have been calendar reforms and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, but the origin, the ancient origins of the New Year's resolution is that at this null point, you can introduce change that cannot be introduced or cannot easily and effectively be introduced when the cycle is in full swing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the origin of the New Year's resolution. And I was fascinated recently. I was listening to Hidden Brain. It's a radio program about brain science. And the topic that particular week was about people trying to change and quit smoking or whatever, you know, and how effective or ineffective that is. And the psychologist who had been researching that had done a tremendous amount of research, you know, surveys of people, and found that people were most effective at introducing change when they introduced the change at the spring equinox or at their birthday.
Oh.
And your birthday is, of course, your own personal New Year.
Right.
You know, it's the end of, yeah. And the researcher had no idea why this is. And I was thinking, well, I know. But anyway, so the null point is the end of one cycle and not yet the beginning of the next cycle. So it's a chance to start fresh.
Yeah.
And all over the world, indigenous people have celebrated the winter solstice for that very reason.
Right.
And we still go through the movements of, decorating trees and all that. But we've kind of forgotten why we're doing it.
Yeah, I think that actually there isn't even a forgetting that it's not even a topic, right? It's just Christmas.
Yes, it's not even a topic. Thank you for mentioning that, because last year I remember listening to the NPR news, and it was right around December, and they were announcing the winter solstice, and they just said something about the nights being longer, and then they said, well, remember to turn on your porch light earlier, and that's all. That's all the winter solstice means.
Yeah.
You just turn on your porch light. Whoa,
Right.
But when you look at ancient cultures, which is something I've been doing, I spent years, the last 15 years really, researching, the origins of the Santa Claus legend, and why is there a star at the top of the Christmas tree? The Christmas tree predates Christ by millennia.
Yeah.
And the date of Christ's birth was never recorded in the Bible. But December 25th was always the celebration of the winter solstice in the Roman Empire, where Christ was born. So you can see where the December 25th, where that all came from.
Right.
So there's a lot of rich material there that we could use to rediscover the power of working with the null point, how to work with the null point.
Right. So I'd like to bring it back to the new moon and the full moon, if we can, as maybe simplify our lives. The new moon is when we plant.
If we talk about the moon when we've been totally focused on the sun, I'm going to have a hard time.
Bring her back, bring her back, bring her back. When we're thinking about the moon and the moon's relationship with the earth, and it's dark, the moon is dark, that is in the darkness is when the change can really happen.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, because the darkness is the healing.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. And thank you. I misunderstood you. Thank you. Yeah. So the darkness is the healing, and that's the other thing that's interesting about the winter solstice. You're reminding me. All cultures that I can see celebrated the solstice in a way that was esoteric and exoteric.
Yeah.
The exoteric celebration of the winter solstice is, hey, the nights are not going to get any longer. Because it's kind of, okay. And so they're celebrating the birth of the light, okay, the newborn sun, and so that's the exoteric celebration of the solstice, because all religions have exoteric and esoteric. The exoteric is more like crowd control, and the esoteric is the inner life. The esoteric celebrations of the winter solstice are about the healing power of darkness. Going back to what you were saying about the healing power of darkness. Silent night, holy night.
Yeah. And we have those new moons every month.
Yes, and we have that darkness every month. Yeah. Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And when we really can understand those cycles, and we've talked about this before, on a full moon, the ERs are pretty busy.
Right.
It's the lunatic, the energies. You want to talk just a little bit about that? I know we've talked about it before, but it's so powerful. What is happening on a full moon? Where's the earth? Where are humans and the sun and the moon?
Yeah. The best way to understand what's happening is to just visualize that our earth is a little round ball in space, and one side of the earth is illuminated by the sun. One side of the earth has sunlight shining on it, and the opposite side of the earth is casting a shadow. And that shadow is what we call night. And once we see that the thing we call night is our planet's shadow, then the next thing we can add to our little picture here is the fact that the moon is going around us.
Yes.
It's orbiting us. And because the moon is also a little round ball in space, it also has one side that's lit up by the sun, and the opposite side is dark. Okay. So no matter where the moon is in its orbit around the sun, it's always 50% illuminated. But we're viewing the moon from Earth, we're not looking down on it, seeing
Right.
that, okay. So from where we are on Earth, we don't always see all of the illuminated side. Sometimes we see only a sliver of the illuminated side. Sometimes we see all of the illuminated side. Sometimes we see none of the illuminated side. Yeah. The next step as far as building our picture of this would be to visualize that as the moon orbits us, once every month or once every moon cycle, it passes between us and the sun. And that's what's called the new moon. It's also called the dark of the moon, because when it's between us and the sunny side of it is facing away from us, and so we don't see it. It's 50% illuminated, but we can't see that because the side of the moon that's facing us is the dark side. So that's the new moon, the dark side, but then it orbits around, and we start seeing a little sliver of its illuminated side, and then a slightly larger sliver. And when it gets to be on the opposite side of us from the sun, then we see all of its illuminated side. We call that the full moon. It's no more full than it ever was.
Right.
But we can see all of the illuminated side. So what's powerful about this is that there's a straight line between the sun and the earth and the moon. If I just arbitrarily, that'd be the sun, it'd be the earth, it'd be the moon. Okay. So you got this straight line, and that's a powerful dynamic, that 180-degree angle. In the scientific term for it is syzygy, S-Y-Z-Y-G-Y, syzygy. I love that word. And that's why the tides are so high.
Right.
Because the moon causes the tides because it's so close to us, its gravity pulls at us. The moon regulates the tides because it's orbiting us. Every day it rises 50 minutes later each day, and high tide is 50 minutes later each day. So when the moon is on the opposite side of the sun, we have this powerful tugging, pulling. And for some people experience that tugging and pulling as a really good yoga stretch, and some people just split down the middle in lunacy.
Yeah, right. I want to go back to the tides for a moment, if we could. Harriet, the body is at least 75% water. The brain is composed of more than 75% water. Right? So with the moon changes, we have these tides within us that are changing. And it's very, very important that we listen to this.
Yes.
That we don't try to swim into a high tide.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's another, listening to it is really important because, again, our culture has gone numb to that cycle, too.
Totally. This morning I was driving, haven't been away from home for a few days, and I'm driving down Ho'okipa, and I'm like, wow, look at those tides. I'm like, oh, yeah, I live on Maui. Right. There's the ocean. I am the ocean. But, I've just gotten so displaced.
Well, our calendars are not synchronized with the moon cycle anymore. You and I have talked about that before, Julius Caesar and Caesar Augustus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then the world just busy. Right? We got to do this and got to do this. We got to do this. And then, it was astounding to me this morning to even think, I live on Maui. Duh. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, especially when you drive past Ho'okipa.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can hardly drive. You're just gawking it.
And it's so important that we do that, no matter where we are, is to get in tune with the water, what it's doing. And on the mainland and a lot of other places right now, the water's really getting big, right? We've got all these floods going on all over the Northwest, into Montana, places like that. And this really is about huge changes as we're moving into the solar or the solstice, right? The end of the year quote.
Also, when you just said huge changes, I realized, the tides have always been important, but now that there's the glaciers are melting, sea level is so much higher that the tides are much more important now than they ever used to be. I can remember when at the full moon, some water came up over the road onto the road to Lahaina.
Right.
Now it's not just some water; it's a whole lot of water.
Yeah. And on the Big Island, we went to the beach one day, and we said, "There's no beach left. It's all washed away. It will probably come back, but." This is what is happening all over the world, right? And the water has a way. And if we can
water always
and if you want lasting change, you do it with water, not with fire.
Right.
Fire will be a quick fix, but it won't be sustainable. Water will make the change of the landscape.
Right.
And our bodies are the landscape. We are the mountains. You are the mountains. Your muscles, you got lots of muscles there, Harriet. Those are the mountains. The urinary system are the rivers. The blood is the lava.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and our skin is the bark of the tree, and our hair, those are our protectors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as we return to the nature of our nature, recognizing there is no separation between this body and the earth. We are the earth. The earth is a reflection of us. We are a reflection of the earth. But if we want to make a change on the earth, what do? Change it inside.
Oh, I love what you're saying. I just got a flash when you said the urinary system is like rivers. And then I realized, and then the bones are like the rocks. Okay.
And also when you go back to something we've talked about before, when the fish or when the blue-green algae decided it was going to be a plant, and then the fishes showed up, and then the notch cords showed up, and then the limbs showed up, all of that. You look at the body, the bones are a scaffolding for this body.
Of course they are.
Coral.
Of course they are.
Made of the same thing as the coral reefs.
Okay.
Calcium.
Right. Have you illustrated this?
I have.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Well, I was just thinking, if I had grown up with that picture of my bones as the rocks, and if I had grown up with that picture, it would have made a huge difference in terms of my ability to inhabit my earth suit.
Totally. And I love that you always call it the earth suit. I just did a lecture the other day. It's global. I talked about you and your earth suit concept.
It's not my concept.
Well,
I borrowed it from somebody.
You know what? You get the credit on my speech. So, yeah. And I think that we have the opportunity to remind us and our children that, no, you are that tree. You are that rock. In the ancient cultures, they all talk about that. But that has been colonized, right?
Yes.
So the biggest thing that is my little thing I got going on right now is decolonize. Decolonize this body.
Yes.
Take they and them out.
Right.
Put you back in.
Right.
You are the mountain. You are the river. You are the trees. You are the...
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm visualizing a coloring book for kids where we see the earth suit in terms of rocks and rivers and,
I love it.
Well, kids love to color, and you learn a lot when you're coloring because you're in it's a different kind of learning that happens when you're coloring than when you're studying for a test. Stuff sinks in.
It does. And there's nothing like color to help promote that kind of integration. And as you said that, I just did a program the other day for a group of indigenous people. And the topic we were just going into is called Piece by Piece. And it's PIECE, or PEACE by PIECE.
Oh.
Piece by piece. So you bring the pieces together to give yourself the peace. So I've actually got that piece of art. I'm going to work with that, and we can play with that a little bit at another time. Because
That's
when
beautiful.
we really get that's what I wanted to do with this group, and in our follow-up is that, okay, you are the mountain, you are the trees, you are, but we've been taught we are, I'm a doctor, and I am a girl, and I all of these things out here. But when we can bring it back to here, that is the nature of your nature.
Yes, yes. Oh, that is really beautiful. I like the piece by piece, because one of the things that popped in my mind once you spelled it out there and I got what you said is it took me back to what we were saying earlier about we are made of hundreds of trillions of cells.
Right.
How is it that all of those cells are maintaining their identity and their integrity, but they're all working on behalf of the whole system? It's because they're all taking their cue from the sun, from the angle of light and shadow.
And they're all doing their job.
Yeah.
One of the metaphors that I've used based on some other work is geomorphism. The immune system is the same as the coral reefs.
Oh.
And all the creatures in the coral reef have a job. In your immune system, so do all the parts. Your basophils, eosinophils, macrophages, monocytes, lymphocytes, they all have a job. And there's been a huge movement this last month in my world of all these autoimmune diseases. And Stanford, speaking of Stanford, they just now say, you know what? These autoimmune diseases, they were calling Hashimoto's, some of the other ones like that, is a virus. Epstein-Barr virus. Now, as a naturopath, we've been taught that decades ago. But now Stanford has proven it, that the reason we have this, what we're calling autoimmune disease, is because the body is fighting this virus. It isn't fighting your body. There's a whole change of mental state that we have. People with autoimmune diseases say, oh, my body's attacking me. Nope, it's not attacking. It's trying to attack something. Now, what is it? And Epstein-Barr has an amazing personality. It can hide out. It can go dormant. It can go hide way, way back in there for decades.
It's a virus? Okay.
Epstein-Barr virus.
Right. I've heard of it. Yeah. Okay.
EBV.
Oh, that's interesting. How does it manage to hide out?
Oh, these viruses, when
They're
I was
very clever.
when I was taking virology at MSU, Montana State University, it was like we could put a virus on a dark field microscope, put a drop of a chemical, and watch that thing turn into a different creature.
Or it just reinvents itself?
Totally. And our professor, I don't remember her name, she said viruses are the most intelligent beings on this planet.
I've been reading that recently. Yes. Okay. So that's, and yet help me out here. This is unfamiliar territory to me. Do we have viruses in our bodies that our bodies are able to work with effectively?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Oh, you mean hand in hand?
Yeah. I mean, are viruses always perceived as invaders or
pathogen?
Pathogens, yeah. Or are there?
Boy, I'd have to think about that, but I would gather, just going back in time. That's a long time ago. No, they're introduced. Now, are they introduced through the air? Are they introduced through sexual activity?
Right.
Are they man-made?
Oh, some of them might be by now. Yeah.
Oh,
it's
for sure.
Hard to imagine. Yeah. No, the reason I was asking is I remember reading an article. It was a medical article. Someone suggesting that the uterus exists thanks to viruses, long time ago. And I don't remember all the details of it, but it was very interesting. I can't remember all the details of it, so I won't.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd have to look at that. But let's bring it back to our bodies right now and kind of reel in from the viruses. But I want everybody to really understand that your body isn't turning against you. Even though it may feel like it is, it's not. It's trying to do its job. Your body knows how to heal. But how do we bring it? How do we really come to that awareness and further trust? That is by being in the cycles, being aware of our season, being aware of where the sun is, where the moon is, right?
Right, yes.
Because all of these things are influencing us.
Yes, and I would suggest at this time of the solstice, find a spot where you can stand outside of your house, and where you can see the sun on the eastern horizon, and or when you can see the sun on the western horizon. Sometimes there's trees and buildings in the way, So, but find a place where you can see the sun, either at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, and take a photograph of where it is, because that's going to be changing. The point of sunrise and the point of sunset is as far south now as it ever gets. After the winter solstice, we're recording this on December 15th, after the winter solstice, the point of sunrise and sunset will start migrating to the north again. So one way to connect with that solar cycle and make the most of the opportunity offered by the null point, one way to do that is just make note of where the sun is on the horizon and then keep tracking it. And it's fun.
Yeah, that would be really fun to do. I said something I want to retract. I said the sun and the moon influences us. It doesn't. We are.
Yeah, we are.
The sun. We are the moon. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I have a friend that is really big on solar flare stuff. Well, right now we're all having big solar flares, right? It's like pieces of us. This is what I was my whole life, and now I'm not. I've seen that happening everywhere around me.
I love the metaphor. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
We're all flaring.
We're all flaring, and it's the right time to be doing this, because this behavior or beliefs or actions that we have, a lot of this is so outdated, very patriarchal in action, right? And to get back to the essence of the feminine, which is the womb, right? That where we see everything as one, not only see, but we know it is, right? Rather than dominate and control.
Yes, speaking of the feminine, thank you, because you just reminded me another nice thing that you can do is get that app on your phone. It's called the Star Walk app.
Okay.
There's many different apps that all go by slightly different names, but they all allow you to hold your phone up to the sky and they identify your constellations. And it's a really nice way to get to know the night sky. And at this time of the year, making friends with the North Star is a really good thing to do. Making friends with the stars in general is a really good thing to do because we have long nights.
Right.
And, the longer the night is, the greater the opportunity to be blessed by starlight. And when I say blessed by starlight, my sense is the reason people everybody loves stars, right? And I kind of have a sense that when starlight enters our eyes, because it's so ancient, that the light from stars has been traveling for years, centuries, in some cases millennia before it reaches our eyes, that it activates our cosmic connectivity, which is born into us because, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen in your lungs, every element in your body was originally created in outer space.
Right.
So that connectivity is just born into our bodies, but that connectivity, I think, is activated by the sight of starlight, because there's some reason people love seeing stars. I don't know
So
anybody who doesn't love seeing stars.
So true.
You know, and it's more than just like loving ice cream or something. It's a deeper, yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I totally, yeah. I'm sleeping outside right now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and
what it
last
does.
night it just was like the stars were just kissing me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And I just woke up and I went, "Whoa! I just know who I am today."
Exactly. Okay, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So there's tremendous power there that we don't have the language to describe because it's not something psychologists study. Psychologists mostly study relations between humans and other humans. They don't talk too much about stars, so we don't have language for it. But everybody has felt it.
Yeah.
You know? And so my theory is that that cosmic connectivity that's built into us, because every element in our body was originally created in outer space, that connectivity is activated by starlight. There's something happens when that ancient light makes its way into your eyes. And, anyway, the North Star is the most important star in the entire sky, but it's not the brightest star in the entire sky. It's the 57th brightest. But you can find the North Star if you get that app on your phone.
Right.
And finding the North Star is really important because the reason for the North Star is important, even though it's not bright. People are always disappointed because they've heard the urban legend that the North Star is bright. But the reason the North Star is important is because the Earth, so it's a globe, okay? And the Earth has a North Pole and it has a South Pole and it has an equator. And that Earth globe is surrounded by stars. And of all the many, many stars that surround the Earth globe, only one star is directly over the Earth's North Pole. And that's why it's called the North Star, because it's the only one that's directly over the Earth's North Pole. That pole is the axis around which all of life is spinning. So the connection to the North Star is a really important one because that's the still point. The North Star is the only star in the sky that never moves. All the other stars appear to circle around it. Keyword is appear to circle around it because we're watching the sky from a moving planet. So we project our own rotation onto the sky. The North Star doesn't move because it's like an extension of the axis. The axis doesn't move. Everything's moving around. Yeah. So the North Star connects us. When you visually connect with the North Star and you psychologically connect with the North Star, you connect with the still point at the center of incessant motion. And there's a lot to be said for connecting with the still point at the center of incessant motion.
The center of what?
The still point.
Yep.
At the center of incessant motion.
Excessive motion?
Incessant. Constant motion.
Incessant.
Constant motion.
Constant. Well, we're going to learn new words every day.
Perpetual.
Wow. Wants me to just go out there again tonight and just be there.
Do you have that app on your phone?
You know, I have a different one, but I do.
They all work. They're all good.
Yeah,
it
is fascinating, isn't it? The other thing that I found fascinating, when I put mine on 20 years ago, I was out in Guam.
Oh.
And you could see all the stars. The last time I was in Guam, you can't see any stars now.
Oh.
It's all satellites.
Oh, yeah, there's so many satellites.
Yeah, because Guam has become the center of the U.S. military, right?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the Chamorro people are getting back to their land. They're restoring their land. They're restoring their language. And they're rising. And the young ones, I love that. They got some fire, right?
I saw one of them at the UN recently. Yeah.
Did ya?
Yeah, a powerful
Good
lady.
Good stuff, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. Whew. But so you have that app, yeah. So just check in with the North Star, because that's why it's the star at the top of the Christmas tree. The original Christmas tree is the pattern of stars that you see in the night sky.
Yeah.
And the star at the top is the North Star.
Right.
So
which is the guiding light, right? It's the pin. What'd you call it? Still point.
It's the still point star, or it's the pivot point around which all the other stars are circling.
But when we can
circling.
be in that place where it's that point of stillness,
Yeah,
we will never be led astray.
exactly.
We won't stumble. We won't, we'll just be where we are.
Right. In Siberia, their name for the North Star is the nail of the sky.
Wow.
And in Hawaiian, the name for the North Star is Hokupa'a. Hoku means star, and pa'a means holding steady, holding firm. You can count on it. You can rely on it.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's exactly what you're saying.
And we have that all within ourselves
Right.
because we are the stars.
Yes.
Wow. Which is the nature of your nature.
Yes.
Right? Wow. And the
Exactly.
stars never question. I was thinking about that the other day when I was going past one of the trees. It never questions whether it's going to be here tomorrow. It just shows up. And a sunflower, it will always follow the sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we can be more like that,
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Right.
wow.
Right.
Everything would kind of slow down, maybe. Right?
Or be right on time, as the lady at the airport said.
Yeah, we're all on time. Well, Harriet, it has been an incredible treat to have you here again. And I'm really excited about other projects that we've discussed before. And ladies and gentlemen, children, everybody that's going to be watching this, we are so fortunate to have Harriet with us. And I'm really glad that you're here with us today. I want to thank the nonprofit You Know More, which is dedicated to first responders, healthcare providers, educators, and community leaders. That's probably you. So get a hold of us at youknowmore.org. And Harriet, anything you want to say to close us up?
Ahuyo!
Ahuyo!
This is KAKU 88.5 FM.
I love you.
The voice of Maui.
Welcome to The Nature of Your Nature. Come home to You Know More with